Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you love chocolate and raspberries, you are going to love today's cake recipe. I'll be making my ultimate chocolate raspberry cake with raspberry buttercream. This incredibly rich and chocolatey cake is dotted with fresh raspberries, and we're going to add some fresh crushed raspberries on the inside as a filling. And I'll be using my newest Back to Cake Basics episode, my raspberry buttercream. This buttercream is everything. It is so creamy, delicious, and it's made with real raspberry flavor. This cake is perfect for special occasions and holidays such as Valentine's Day or birthday celebrations. You guys are going to love the flavors here. Let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make this incredible dessert. I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to get started with the chocolate cake batter first. So into a large mixing bowl, we're going to start with all the wet ingredients and the sugar. I'm going to add in 1 cup of buttermilk. This buttermilk is going to make the chocolate cake extra moist and even more rich and delicious. I'm going to pour that right in. Next, I'll pour in 3/4 cups of cooking oil, and today I'm using canola oil, but you can use any type of light cooking oil. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we'll need 4 large eggs, I'll add in 1 cup of white granulated sugar, and I'm going to grab my hand mixer and mix this all together for about 3 minutes until the eggs are well beaten. I just melted 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips in the microwave, and I'm going to pour in that melted chocolate into my cake batter. This chocolate is going to add so much incredible flavor to the cake, and it's also going to make it extra moist and tender. You guys are going to love the flavor of the chocolate here. Next up, we have our dry ingredients. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/3 cup of a dark cocoa powder. It's going to make the chocolate cake like a really intense, rich, chocolatey cake. And I'm going to sift the dry ingredients into the cake batter, and you want to do this to ensure you don't get any clumps of baking powder or baking soda or cocoa powder. And then I'm going to grab my hand mixer and mix in the dry ingredients just until they're incorporated. It usually takes about a minute. I've lined 3 8-inch cake pans with some parchment paper. You could also spray down the sides with a baking spray. And I'm going to divide this cake batter evenly between the 3 pans. And now for my raspberries, I have about 1.5 cups of fresh raspberries, and I'm just going to very gently press them directly into the chocolate cake batter. Just evenly space them apart. And my chocolate raspberry cake layers are ready to go into my preheated oven. They're going to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 27 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Once they're done baking, I'm going to take them out of the oven, out of the pans, and onto a cooling rack to cool completely. While these cake layers are cooling, it is the perfect time to make my raspberry buttercream. I have a separate video recipe for that. It's one of my Back to Cake Basics series. I'm going to include it down in the video description box below. You guys are going to love this raspberry buttercream. It's made with real raspberry flavor. It's going to be the perfect complement for this raspberry cake. I'm going to be filling my chocolate raspberry cake with some fresh crushed raspberries. I have about 1.5 cups of raspberries here. I'm going to grab a large fork and just press those into a fine puree. And I'm not adding any sugar to this filling, but if you do want that filling to be a little bit on the sweeter side, feel free to add up to 1/2 cup of sugar. The first thing I'm going to do is level off the tops of these cakes. I'm going to place them onto my turntable, and I'm going to grab a long serrated knife and just very gently level off the top. I've measured out about 1/4 cup of raspberry liqueur. I'm going to grab a little pastry brush and just gently soak the cake layers with this raspberry liqueur. It's going to add even more incredible flavor. Now, if you don't want to add the alcohol, you could just soak the cake layers with a little bit of simple syrup. I'm going to start assembling my cake with a light layer of that raspberry buttercream. Just spread that evenly to the edges. I've transferred some of my frosting into a pastry bag, and today I'm using a Tyco tip number 847. I'm going to pipe a little barrier ring of the frosting around the edges, and this will keep all that amazing raspberry filling on the inside. And I'll spoon this filling onto the inside. And then just spread it evenly to the edges. Top that off with the next cake layer. And now I'm going to seal the top and the sides of the cake with the rest of the buttercream. After applying this light crumb coat of frosting, I'm going to place this cake into the refrigerator for at least 20 minutes to allow this first layer of frosting to set up, and then we'll come back to add another light layer of frosting over the top. And once my cake is chilled, I'm going to add another layer of frosting. And I'm going to finish decorating the cake by adding some dollops of raspberry buttercream on top. And now it's time to cut into this absolutely stunning cake. I'm going to grab a nice and sharp knife. How incredibly stunning is this chocolate raspberry cake? I absolutely love these incredible chocolate cake layers, and you can actually kind of see the raspberries that we added into the actual cake batter itself, and that raspberry filling and the raspberry buttercream. This is going to be so incredibly delicious. And that is it, guys, for my chocolate raspberry cake. I love how it turned out. It looks so incredibly pretty with the pink frosting on the outside. And then when you cut it in on the inside, you have those rich chocolate cake layers with that raspberry filling on the inside. This is going to be so incredibly delicious. For the full recipe, don't forget to head on down the video description box. I'll have a link that'll take you over to my website so you could print this recipe off and share it with your family and friends. And I'm also going to leave a link down there for the raspberry buttercream recipe as well. Now, time to dig in and enjoy. This looks so incredibly delicious. Going to grab a little bit of that frosting, and I also like to have some extra raspberries on the side as well. Just wow, you guys are going to be blown away with this incredible cake. If you love chocolate and raspberries, this is definitely the cake for you. Those rich chocolate cake layers are just so moist and delicate. They melt into your mouth, and I love the addition of the fresh raspberries that we added directly into the cake batter. And what really makes this cake is the complimentary raspberry buttercream and that raspberry filling. The raspberry buttercream is just so creamy and fluffy, adds a little bit of tartness along with that raspberry filling. You guys are going to love it because it's not too sweet, it's not overwhelming. It's the perfect cake for Valentine's Day, for birthdays, for special occasions, you name it. Everybody is going to love this cake. Don't forget to head on down the video description box for the recipe link. I hope you guys enjoy this cake for your next special occasion, and I'll see you next time with a new video.